Alrighty guys, how you guys doing? Welcome to Apple Weekly number 36. I know I didn't do one last week, again, apologies. But this is the show where I cover everything Apple over the past few days, give you my views on it, what's happening in terms of rumours, credible rumours that is. Before I get started, I'd like to thank our two sponsors, Parcel Monkey, and the second one really isn't a sponsor, it's just myself. My own garment, the iGear jacket. If you can check the websites out in the description or on the screen, you sir would be a legend. Getting straight into the first story, Cult of Mac reported that the Magic Mouse is going to get discontinued. When I read that article I was in shame. The Magic Mouse to me is something that I use on a daily basis. I have tried out the external trackpad, it wasn't for me. I love the trackpad and the laptop side of things, but I don't prefer the external things. I would rather have a mouse. That is just personal preference. It'd be interesting to see what you guys prefer. But you know, the reports came out that it's going to get discontinued simply because some European resellers ran out of stock, and the word on the street so to say was that it's going to get discontinued, but apparently that is not going to happen now. Stock is short at some resellers and at some Apple stores, but the word is that the Magic Mouse is going to get a new product number or a new SKU, which suggests it might receive a minor update, perhaps more gestures. Well, I guess I say more gestures, you can have more gestures if you install third-party applications. So surely they wouldn't bring out an entire new device for more gestures when they could just tweak the software. But I don't know what is going to happen in the Magic Mouse. What could be done to make the Magic Mouse better? Is there room for improvement? I think yes. The one gripe I have with the Magic Mouse is the bottom feet do get very, very dirty after a few weeks, and so if you're someone like me who never kind of cleans up, then you know it does get dirty, you have to clean it off, it's just a nightmare. So they could make it better in terms of, you know, design, I suppose. Next up is new iMacs. New iMacs, you may ask. That is correct. Apple did release new iMacs last week, and they're specifically targeting education institutions, your university, your college, and they can buy, I guess on behalf of you, but mainly for their colleges or their, you know, their premises pretty much. They are not as beefier as the iMacs are on the Apple Store. They've got slower processors, Core i3, only 2 gigs of RAM to start off with, and they state that you can't upgrade yourself, but I guess that's a little BS. They don't have Thunderbolt ports. I mean, the Mac Mini that was released last week, that has got a Thunderbolt port, which is a $599 US system, whereas this is a, you know, I think it's just $999 US for this new iMac, and it's not got a Thunderbolt port. So I personally wouldn't recommend this education or this, you know, iMac that's aimed for the education sector. I would rather you spend £150 more, get more RAM, get a beefier processor, Thunderbolt, and that'll last you much longer, and it's well worth the £150. Remember, that coupled with you know, your university or education discount plus the back to school offer that Apple have gotten just now, you're walking away with a winner in any case. And next up is Apple's plans for his new Cupertino HQ, and you can see the pictures on screen. It does really look like a spaceship. 20,000 people or 20,000 employees are going to be located within this premise, and man does it look absolutely gorgeous. Special glass all the way around, magical glass. Although not much of a oh my godzer report or story, it was generally quite interesting to go through this. Apple has laid out the floor plans, the general structure of the building, they've passed it on, and of course Steve Jobs did approve this early this year, and we should see this in the next few years. Apple is growing at a fast rate, shall we say. They've opened 5 new retail stores just over the weekend, and I guess they have to look for the future, and you know, I can't wait to kind of get a hands-on tour with this. For the record, I have done a hands-on tour with Apple's biggest store in London, Covent Garden, and it's got over 10,000 views, which is absolutely insane. If you haven't checked it out, it is on the screen. So this next story is quite interesting and hilarious at the same time. A few Chinese guys got caught smuggling in iPad 2s and iPhone 4s, and the way they done it is, I'm going to kind of demonstrate it. This is Shenzhen, and this is the Hong Kong border, and this is Hong Kong. Late at night, they would fire across a rope from Shenzhen over to Hong Kong. There'd be a building here, a small village. They'd fire across something similar to a Batman rope, I would guess. At night, on that rope would be a black bag, so it couldn't be seen at night. And inside that bag, they would, you know, load it with iPhone 4s, iPad 2s, and then on this side they would have like something that's going to be rolling, and that would then, you know, kind of bring the bag across over the border and then into Shenzhen, and then you know, Shenzhen of course is a city in China, and then those Apple products would be sold in China for much more. They're essentially just smuggling it in. Of course, genuine. The value of what was seized at the point where they got caught was about 46,000 US dollars, which is absolutely insane. But I just found the story absolutely hilarious. I'll leave a link in the description. There's a YouTube video of Chinese officials seizing the goods and going over the tools that they actually use, and it's quite funny. In the description below. So next up is Apple's media event. Now for those of you who don't know, for the past couple of years Apple has held a media event in September. That time is fast approaching, and you know, a few rumour sites managed to get a date. 7th of September was just floating around all these rumour websites, but it turned out to be it was incorrect. We don't know when it's going to happen. It could be the first week of September, it could be the end of September, it could be October. There were no specifics as to what was going to be announced at this event, but it's kind of widely known it's going to be iPhone 5s, iPod Touch, iPod Classic, they're probably just going to discontinue it altogether. iPod Nano, are we going to see something else? The click wheel coming back, magical, revolutionary. It's just, you know, we don't know yet. So kind of following on from the iPhone 5, what is it going to look like? You know, what are the features going to be, the hardware is going to be. Mac Rumors put up a detailed post where they had someone draw out the iPhone 5 as to what they would think, and it looks pretty nice, I would say. A larger screen, retina display, and there's been rumours of high definition up to 8 megapixel camera. And guess what? Chinese counterfeiters are one step ahead, because there are iPhone 5 clones right now as we speak circulating in China, and people are actually buying them, which is absolutely crazy. But over the past few days, iPhone 5 rumours have been crazy. It's just insane. You know, there'll be a rumour out on Monday, and then the following day there'll be a rumour, you know, something completely different from what's been kind of appeared on Monday. So it's no point in me even covering it. But all we know is an iPhone 5 is going to be coming out this year, or at least that's what I definitely think anyway. I can't see Apple going through the holiday season with an iPhone which is kind of the main sellers, and it's not been updated for more than a year, which is insane. So I think it's pretty safe to say new iPod Touches, new iPhones. The iPod Touch is probably going to be in similar spec to the iPhone 5 in terms of speed, the processors, the graphics. But yeah, if you are in the market for one, just hold off for now. We're approaching or halfway through August anyway, so you've not got long to go. And last but not least, the MacBook Airs. Is Apple going to abandon the Intel chipsets? That is the word over the past few days, and you know, it's interesting. You know, Dell, you've got HP, you've got quite a lot of other manufacturers who've tried to do the same thing with the MacBook Air, but they just can't compete in terms of the weight, the battery life, the most important thing, and the speed. Dell had the Damo or the Adamo or whatever it was called I think it was a year ago. Huge flop. It's not for sale anymore. Similar manufacturers have done the same thing, but they just can't compete on price. They're either slow, the hard drives, because the MacBook Airs, the MacBook Air has got a kind of an upper hand, better battery life, flash storage makes it super speedy. The design, and you know, it's lightweight, and the manufacturers, they kind of come close to it, but then they just kind of fall on its feet, and especially when it comes to pricing, they just can't compete. Apple is probably one of the largest suppliers in terms of flash storage for, you know, the iPods, the iPod Touches, the iPhones, now the MacBook Air, so they have a bit more of a leeway in terms of supplying, you know, buying power, whereas other manufacturers, they don't, and that's where they are struggling to meet the same price point as the MacBook Airs, but they can't do it. And the Wall Street Journal reported that Apple have been haggling Intel for the past few months. They really want Intel to kind of constantly push out these low-powered processors, and you know, Intel kind of a bit laid back. Apple isn't too happy with them, and now that Apple have got processors for the iPad 2 and the iPhone, the A4s, you know, Apple's making the processors in-house, so it would make sense for Apple to do the same with the MacBook Airs and ditch Intel, which would be interesting indeed. But in my opinion, I wouldn't want them to ditch Intel at all, simply because of the compatibility with so much software and so on. And will Apple really be able to meet the power or the speed of the processors as Intel is? Is it going to be as fast? Yes, it's all good having it in the iPad 2 and the iPhone, and it makes perfect business sense for Apple to make it in-house cheaper. You know, the cost wise it's going to be really or extremely cheap. But is it really going to be beneficial for us consumers? I don't know. Just a final story about Apple retail stores. For those of you who don't know, there were riots in England over the past few days. and people were just going crazy, looting shops, you know, well-known shops, garments, game shops. People just going in, picking up, you know, huge plasma and LCD TVs, Xboxes, PS3s. And the second day of the riots, Apple decided to pull off or remove all the display units. And as you guys know, Apple retail stores are pretty simple. It's just glass, and you can see right through, so you don't want looters to potentially just smash the glass and walk in and, you know, start picking up the display stuff. So they made a smart move by removing everything, so it wouldn't kind of entice people to, you know, break the windows. So some of the stores that were right in the centre of the riots, Apple decided to put all the stuff at the back end of the store in a safe, presumably, or a locked up room that would be pretty secure. If you work in an Apple retail store and you have images or thoughts on this, leave a comment below. And then continuing on from that, Apple is about to open its priciest Apple retail store right within Hong Kong. This looks absolutely gorgeous. The store itself is situated right above a highway, 6 lanes, which is quite crazy, and it must be some view up there looking down below. Pretty insane. But guys, this is it for Apple Weekly. Leave your comments below as to what you think. Remember, this is being broadcasted on both iTunes and YouTube. The iTunes link is on the description, and it's pretty much for those of you who want to watch on the bus, the train, the college, on the way to work, you're bored, boom. Put it onto your iPhone or your iPod Touch, and you are all ready to go. Guys, I appreciate you sitting through this. As always, I will see you guys in another live. Cheers. Looking to send a package at the lowest price possible? Simple. Visit parcelmonkey.co.uk, follow these 4 simple steps, have the package collected from your doorstep, and then sit back and relax.